Optimus Prime, leader of the Autobots, has had many incarnations throughout his many years of being one of the most iconic characters in all of fiction. The many different versions of Prime have raised the question, who, of his many incarnations, is the strongest Optimus Prime? Who would win in a fight? Well, in this video, that's exactly what we're going to find out. Bear with me here because it's going to be a long ride. The way this video is going to work is that we're going to analyze each of Prime's incarnations, look at their strengths, weaknesses, weapons, and abilities, and then compare them to each other to find out which is the most powerful. It is important to mention that we will only be considering the abilities these Primes have on their own, as outside help such as power linking will not be included. I will also not be considering each Prime's intelligence or whether they kill their enemies or not. Imagine a hypothetical battle royale in which all of the Optimus Primes are fighting each other in a no-holds-barred match. That's the rule we're going by. Unlike the good people over at Screw Attack, I unfortunately can't show you the hypothetical Optimus Prime fight in an awesome animated battle, but what I can do is show you which of the many Optimus Primes is the strongest. But before we begin, I wanted to give a massive shout out to YouTuber Nikto. He was an enormous help when researching this video and did extensive amounts of research to help me out. I wanted to thank him for that. With that, let's look at our contenders. First is the Optimus from the original Generation 1 cartoon, the one that appears throughout the Generation 1 animated continuity. In this video, he will be considered a separate entry to the Optimus from the Generation 1 Marvel comic, whom we'll split further into two different candidates, his Power Master upgrade and his Action Master upgrade. The Optimus prior to those two upgrades is very similar to his G1 cartoon self and isn't worth including. Next is the Prime from Robots in Disguise, and the Optimuses from the 3 Unicron trilogy shows will be considered separate entries. However, we won't be including Energon because that would be a waste of everyone's time. Wait, what do you mean I have to? Ugh, fine. Then we have the Optimus from Transformers Animated, the Optimus from the 4 Michael Bay movies, and then the Optimus from the Prime cartoon. However, this video will not be including the Prime from the Cybertron games. We will also not be including the Prime from the new Robots in Disguise show, as the show is yet to conclude and we haven't seen all that Prime has to offer yet. However, we will be including the IDW Prime, though as a separate character to his Generation 1 self despite being based off of him. And as a final rule, we will only be looking at each contender's main appearance, as comic or other adaptations of Transformers shows are set in different continuities, and as such it would leave us with too many characters to analyze. Basically, whatever the main source of media that continuity is set will be the one that we will be looking at. For Cybertron, we won't be looking at the Galaxy Force manga, and with animated we won't look at the Cool comic. So, with these 11 candidates in mind, we can begin. First, the Optimus from the Generation 1 cartoon. The Optimus of the Generation 1 cartoon is the formidable hero who always fights for freedom and justice, doing his best to create the peace that he desires. But is it really as easy, considering that Prime, much like Superman, always has to hold back his powers not to cause any unnecessary collateral damage to the worlds that he is a guest in, if not to destroy them altogether? That's right folks, G1 Optimus is actually that strong. Upgraded from a lowly Autobot by Alpha Trion, Orion Pax became the legendary Optimus Prime, and managed to fight back against the new breed of Decepticons attacking Cybertron. He was created to be a warrior and a leader, and exceeds the responsibilities of both of those roles. His strength is immense, and he is more than capable of giving Megatron a beating. Probably the greatest example of Optimus' strength is in the Generation 1 cartoon episode The Ultimate Doom Part 3, in which Megatron survived a planet-moving explosion. To work out how much damage that this would have done to Megatron, we take a look at the web. Many sites have tried to cover this topic, but one, named Naruto Forms, have made their calculations regarding how powerful it was, and their answer is that it would have been 12,637.18 yotatons, as suggested by their research. The explosion only left a few small cracks on Megatron's armor, let alone do any serious damage to him at all. However, as seen in Transformers the movie, Prime's punches alone are enough to do more damage than that, which would suggest that the force of Optimus Prime's punch had far exceeded the force of that explosion altogether. It's not all that surprising, however, considering Prime possesses the Matrix of Leadership, a powerful Cybertronian artifact passed down from Autobot leaders. The Matrix also possesses enough power to eradicate the Hate Plague, as seen in the second part of Return of Optimus Prime. Optimus is armed with his trusty Ion Blaster, a blaster strong enough to gun down Decepticons in just a few shots. It is, however, reasonably useless against Megatron. Optimus himself is quite sturdy, as in the episode City of Steel, even when he was decapitated and torn apart by Hook, he was still able to not only survive but also control his body parts to allow these Autobots to put him back together. He is not invincible, however. In Transformers the movie, he took too much damage from Megatron's attacks and expired from fatal wounds caused to his body. In the episode Divide and Conquer, Prime was heavily damaged by an explosion after trying to protect some humans, and was damaged further by gunfire from the Decepticons. This rendered him into a weakened state where he could barely even speak, let alone move, and had to have parts replaced, otherwise he would succumb to his injuries and die. The Decepticons weren't done just yet, however, sending Laserbeak into the Ark to damage the incredibly weak Prime, which caused it— oh jeez! There is no way he survived that. No, wait, no he did. Never mind, he's good. All in all, Prime is easily damaged by mere gunfire, but is incredibly powerful, strong enough to take down any Decepticons who get in his way. He's also apparently very skilled in basketball. The question is, can future versions of Prime best the original? The Power Master Prime was created when Optimus Prime was resurrected after being destroyed following a virtual battle with Megatron. He is binary bonded to Haikyuu, and is incredibly powerful. His punches are enough to send his opponents flying. He is strong enough to trade blows with Galvatron and Grimlock, and can take attacks from Scorponok that would cause severe damage to anyone else. In the issue The Resurrection Gambit, he managed to tear his way through half of Scorponok's forces all by himself, due to the fact that he was pissed off, only stopping when he realized the danger he was putting the humans around him in. He possesses a large amount of firepower, which is powerful enough to take both Dreadwind and Darkwing out of the air. Unlike his body before his resurrection, the Power Master Prime is incredibly resistant to powerful energy attacks. Prime had endured taking blasts from the Matrix to the face, an attack which, by the way, killed Landmine instantly. Underneath his armor is a body resembling his original one, so even if Prime's armor is destroyed or damaged, he can continue fighting unscathed. The Power Master Prime was only put down when he flew into Unicron with the Matrix, and was caught in an explosion of godly energies from within Unicron. That's how much power is required to put him down. However, the Power Master Prime is also not invincible. Without Haikyuu, he is much weaker, and has no extra power. He is unable to transform without his Nebulan partner, and without Haikyuu, Prime's power is significantly reduced. The Action Master Prime was born after the Power Master Prime died fighting Unicron, and was created by the last Autobot merging Haikyuu and Optimus into one being. In his debut appearance, the final issue of the Marvel US Transformers comics, he turned the tide of battle for the outnumbered Autobots and easily smashed his way through Bludgeon's Decepticons. Though his appearance in the Marvel comics was short-lived, this Prime would reappear in both Generation 2 and in Regeneration 1. He managed to battle G-Axis to a standstill, though in the process was greatly damaged, his armor apparently very weak in comparison to his previous bodies, as G-Axis was simply able to tear parts of it off. At the end of Generation 2, he was consumed by the Swarm, though was reborn in a different body. In Regeneration 1, Optimus was strong enough to pound Megatron to a pulp and eventually tear out his spark, a feat he was not able to accomplish in his original body. However, at the end of the series, after taking too much damage, Prime expired from his injuries, showing that the Action Master Prime is significantly weaker than his Power Master self. The IDW Prime, being heavily based off the original Generation 1 Prime, is only armed with an Ion Blaster and the Matrix of Leadership, and yet has achieved some pretty amazing feats. For example, one time, despite being wounded, managed to sabotage the space bridge portal to Cybertron so the Decepticons couldn't follow, though tore himself apart in the process. A space bridge is a wormhole device capable of defying the laws of space and time, meaning Optimus had literally survived being ripped apart by the forces of both space and time, though was left incredibly wounded and unable to do anything for a long while after. Another time, as recounted by Optimus and Megatron, he was trapped in an antimatter chamber and had to be put back together piece by piece. However, he managed to survive. A further proof to Prime's power is that he was able to break through Sixshot's armor, which was once thought to be indestructible. Optimus is able to hold his own against Phase 6s, being strong enough to destroy entire worlds by themselves. Optimus and Megatron's punches are also apparently strong enough to tear apart human cities, and Optimus was strong enough to withstand blows and blasts from Nova Prime and eventually defeat him with his bare hands, even though at the time Nova possessed the power of the dead universe. Optimus is strong enough to take down both Menacer and Monstructor on separate occasions by himself, and also survived blasts from Shockwave, who at the time was powerful enough to bend space-time itself. And finally, he managed to possess enough firepower to stop Thunderwing all by himself. Geez. All of these go to show that Prime is incredibly strong, and yet from time to time has lost battles to Megatron and other foes, having the Matrix torn from his chest, having his attacks bouncing off his foe, or even lying defeated and seemingly deactivated. It is difficult to tell how powerful the IDW Prime is, especially considering he has held back his power quite a bit, but across the years it is obvious that Prime can take a lot of damage and still give twice as much back. He has defeated foes far powerful than he is, and is easily one of the most powerful Primes we've looked at so far. He does, after all, possess the Matrix of Leadership, which is made from the hilt of the Star Saber itself. The robots in disguise Optimus Prime was considerably weaker than those seen before him, though that is due to the fact that his enemies are considerably weaker as well. Optimus is easily overwhelmed, commonly relying on his Autobots to help him out in the many dangerous situations he finds himself in, especially Ultra Magnus. He is incredibly fast, however. This Optimus is relatively strong, able to match the strength of Scourge due to the fact that Scourge was created from him, and is armed with an ineffective energy rifle that fluctuates wildly with usefulness, at one point damaging Megatron but at others causing no damage whatsoever. Though he is rarely seen using them, Optimus also possesses 2 rocket launchers that can fire a wave of missiles from his shoulders. He is also able to fire a blast of energy from the sirens on his back, which can cause considerable damage. Optimus makes up for his lack of weapons with his Super Mode, which he uses in almost every battle. This Super Mode increases his size and strength and also slightly improves his armor, though not by much, as he is seen being damaged by Ultra Magnus' blaster both with and without the Super Mode. The mode also grants him the ability to fire a Blizzard Blast that allows him to freeze his opponents. In the episode The Test, Optimus' true strength was revealed, as when the Decepticons, who claimed they wanted to work with Optimus, betrayed him, he became enraged and was supercharged with Matrix energy, allowing him to unleash a hellstorm of laser blasts and missiles to fend off the Decepticons and send them into a retreat. This was the only time in the series this was used, however. He is, however, easily drained of energy, and in one episode after a run-in with Ultra Magnus had to travel to a deserted island to recharge his energy. He was only able to defeat Galvatron at the end of the show due to some assistance from Ultra Magnus and the power of the Matrix Blade. The Optimus Prime from Transformers Armada is the strongest Prime of the 3 in the Unicron trilogy without the use of a Super Mode. He is shown on numerous occasions to be incredibly skilled in hand-to-hand combat, most notably his final battle with Megatron in the episode Mortal Kombat. It is important to note that in that fight, Optimus discarded the Matrix in order to fight Megatron, displaying that he does not require the Matrix, nor does it provide him with power. He is also able to fire energy blasts from his arms, though the most these tend to do is inconvenience his enemies. However, in the final episode of the show, in his final battle with Galvatron, he was not only stabbed by his foe, but also had a metal pipe shoved into his back, and yet was still able to stand. His armor appears to be reasonably weak, however, as in the episode Vow, when a group of minicons fire upon him, he trudges towards them, intent on not harming them, but is clearly seen to be in pain, despite the fact that there is no visible damage on his body. And of course, Prime was only put down in the show after taking a point-blank shot from the Hydra Cannon, an enormously powerful weapon made from combining the Skyboom Shield, Starsaber, and Requiem Blaster. Take into account that the Requiem Blaster alone draws from the power of a black hole's gravity or a supernova's energy, and as such the Hydra Cannon is powerful enough to destroy entire planets. Optimus was able to deflect the blast from it thanks to the Matrix of Leadership, though the strain of it caused him to crumble to dust afterwards. Optimus also has the ability to transform into a super mode by combining with his trailer, and it is his go-to when the going gets tough, and increases both his size and power. His super mode contains enough firepower to send the Decepticons into retreat, and also greatly increases his strength, allowing him to match that of Megatron. In Transformers Energon, Optimus appears to be a lot weaker physically, though it now contains the Spark of Combination. This Prime also carries a blaster, but it tends to be quite ineffective, and must rely on his 4 vehicle drones to combine to grant him extra firepower and strength, strong enough to withstand Scorponok's powerful Stinger Tail. These 4 drones, while allowing Prime to fire massive blasts of energy capable of destroying Terracons instantly, is reasonably ineffective against Decepticons. Optimus is also capable of launching the 4 drones at his opponents, a usually ineffective attack. The drones are reasonably easy to destroy, however, and were blown up in several episodes of the series, usually courtesy of Scorponok. The Energon Optimus' armor is even weaker than that of his in Armada, as in one episode of the show, Optimus is badly damaged by blaster fire from Starscream and is put out of commission, only revived by Energon. In Armada, however, he was seen taking the very same blast from Starscream and got out of it fine. This may be due to the fact that Starscream was revived by Alpha Quintesson, however, and was supercharged by Energon. In the very same episode, Optimus was able to spawn what he called an Energon Blaster or Hotshots Blaster from the Matrix, as it was apparently a weapon wielded by previous Primes. He used it to blast Megatron into space, though it was never seen again in the series, barring one episode where he didn't even fire it. The Optimus in Transformers Cybertron is most likely the physically strongest of the 3 from the Unicron trilogy, and this is due to the fact that out of the 3 shows, Cybertron has probably the most over-the-top exaggerated anime elements, making Optimus seem ridiculously powerful. While strong on his own, Optimus is able to combine with his trailer to enter his super mode, which grants him extra firepower and the ability to fly. In one battle with Galvatron, Optimus is able to wield Metroplex's axe, which is at least 3 times larger than he is. He is also able to match Megatron's strength, even when he is later upgraded into Galvatron, and furthermore withstanding his devastating attacks. In their final battle, Optimus managed to simply backhand one of Galvatron's most powerful blast attacks, and then flew from Cybertron to one of its moons to smash Galvatron. Optimus is also apparently a user of the art of Metallico, a Cybertronian martial art, or at least some of it, as he is seen to know a few moves taught to him by Landmine. When he calls upon his Cyber Key, he can upgrade his cannon to fire a devastating blast of energy to severely damage any foe. The Cybertron Optimus is both powerful and heavily armed, and is undoubtedly a fearsome opponent. Optimus Prime in Transformers Animated began as a space bridge repairman, and once he reaches Earth scans a fire engine as his alternate mode. This means he is armed with tamer weapons than that of his other counterparts. This Optimus wields no blasters or guns, but does have a few modifications that come in handy during battles, including fire extinguishers, grappling hooks that allow him to trip enemies, and a bowler launcher which allows him to capture foes. Both the grapples and bowlers are easily broken. Most importantly, however, Prime is armed with a signature rocket-propelled axe, which he uses in almost every battle. While the axe is useful against human machinery or construction, the axe is mostly ineffective against more powerful opponents, such as Megatron, in one episode even bouncing off the Decepticon leader, despite Prime having a run-up. In the final episode of the show Endgame Part 2, Prime is seen using his trailer as a rocket pack that granted him flight, allowing him to combat Megatron. While he did eventually manage to defeat the Decepticon Tyrant, this was only due to both outside assistance from other Autobots and the hammer of Ultra Magnus that he wielded. This Optimus is reasonably strong, however, as he was able to wield the hammer and rivaled Megatron's strength. Prime met his end very early on in the show, being put down by an explosion of Allspark energy that also knocked Starscream away, but Prime fell a long way to the ground below before passing. His armor is also easily damaged by corrosive, as seen with his encounters with the supervillain Meltdown, who possessed the ability to melt others with his acidic body. It didn't take a lot to take this Optimus down, and throughout the show both energy attacks from Decepticons and even human villains such as the Angry Archer are able to take him down. The Optimus Prime of the 4 Michael Bay movies is easily the most skilled in hand-to-hand combat and the most violent Prime of all. Unlike Optimuses before him, this Optimus has no issue executing Decepticon foes should it be easier for him. When enraged, Optimus is nigh unstoppable on the battlefield, tearing through Decepticons though still withholding his ultimate goal of protecting life around him. In a hand-to-hand fight, Optimus can easily overwhelm any opponent, even if faced with more than one foe. This Prime is armed with his Ion Blaster, powerful enough to down a Decepticon as big as Demolisher with just a few shots. His go-to weapons are his dual Energon swords, which he uses to tear through his enemies on the battlefield. They can easily cut through any foe and are extremely effective weapons. According to the book Revenge of the Fallen the movie universe, these blades are powered by a quantum electric generator that reach a temperature of 1000 degrees Celsius, and burn 5 kilojoules every second. In Revenge of the Fallen, Prime was seen wielding 2 weapons he hasn't used again. First were his Energon hooks, which presumably ran on the same power source as his blades, and worked to the same effect, allowing him to tear Grindor's head in 2. The second was his barrage cannon, and once again, referring to the movie universe book, we can learn that the blaster has a range of 60 miles, and fires plutonium-tipped warheads at a rate of 6 warheads per second, each containing the equivalent of 3,000 pounds of TNT, enough to severely injure any foes foolish enough to get in his way. In Dark of the Moon, Optimus was given new upgrades, including an armoured weapons platform that stored a plethora of weapons for him to use, and a flight pack reminiscent of the one granted to him by Jetfire's sacrifice. In Age of Extinction, after being badly damaged, Optimus scanned a new truck alternate mode and was upgraded into a sleeker body, also with new weapons, as he now had a Night Sword and shield. The sword was strong enough to cleave Lockdown in 2, and the shield was powerful enough to deflect laser fire. Even without his weapons, Prime is a formidable opponent, able to battle several Decepticons at once, including Megatron, and once executed Shockwave with his bare fists. Optimus isn't invincible, however. In Revenge of the Fallen, Megatron was able to come up behind him, impale him, and fire his blaster, destroying his spark. Though he was revived later in the movie, this shows that Prime's armor is easily penetrated with a powerful enough weapon. This is seen once again in Age of Extinction, when Lockdown fires a shot into Prime's back, exploding his chest. If he takes enough damage, Prime will go down, but this is only if he is unprepared. This Optimus is quite reckless and focuses on quickly executing his foes rather than forming a battle plan, making him incredibly dangerous. Prime's Optimus Prime is quite similar to his movie counterpart, though nowhere near as vicious. This Prime is equally as powerful on the battlefield, able to take down hordes of Vehicons and hold his own against powerful foes such as Dreadwing and Predaking. He is armed with dual ion blasters that he can deploy from his fists, and are powerful enough to down Decepticons with enough shots. Prime is skilled in hand-to-hand combat and wields dual blades that can cut through Terracons and deflect blasts from Megatron's fusion cannon. Prime is very powerful, able to throw punches that can send even Megatron flying. He's able to fight through hordes of Terracons and Unicorn avatars and is fast enough to dodge gunfire. And, most importantly, Prime is powerful enough to wield the Star Saber, even if he broke it in a fight with Megatron. He is also seen to be resistant to pain. Even when being stabbed through the chest by Silas, he still had the power to pound him to scrap thanks to the interference of Agent Fowler, and once even caught a missile and prevented it from hitting a museum. And though being shocked by an Energon staff courtesy of Knockout, he was still able to get back up. However, once again, this Prime is far from invincible. In the episode One Shall Fall, he lost the battle to Megatron, and though fighting ferociously and doing quite a number on his foe, Megatron beat him into submission, and he was only prevented from delivering the final blow thanks to intervention from the Autobots. In one episode, both he and RC travelled to the Arctic, but due to the freezing temperatures were rendered useless and couldn't move as their systems shut down, only being saved by a timely ground bridge. His closest to death, however, was when he was severely damaged and lay dying for quite a while after being caught in the explosion of the Autobot base. He was revived when Smokescreen used the Forge of Solace to grant him a new and more powerful body, one that came with added strength, durability, a flight pack which granted him the ability to fly, and upgraded his ion cannon to become a handheld machine gun, though greatly reduced his speed. This, like his movie self, is lacking in the firepower department, but greatly makes up for it with physical strength and power. Now that we've taken a look at all of the Primes individually, it's time to put things into perspective to see which of them is the most powerful. To do this, we'll look at 5 different categories: strength, firepower, defense, speed, and endurance. When it comes to strength, a majority of the Primes have you covered. The weakest of the bunch are the animated Action Master and Robots in Disguise Primes. The Robots in Disguise Optimus is easily overwhelmed in a fight, unlike his Prime and Movieverse counterparts, who are incredibly skilled at handling more than one opponent at once. Though bearing enough firepower to send the Decepticons into a retreat, his armor is still weak and he is very easy to damage. The Armada Optimus, in his own super form, would be more than a match for the Robots in Disguise Optimus. While most Optimuses are capable of hand-to-hand combat, all of the rest pale in comparison to the skills of the Prime and Movieverse Optimuses, who are quite evenly matched. Both are ferocious in battle and are capable of taking on powerful opponents or even swarms of them, and have come out on top of more battles than they have lost. However, while a hand-to-hand battle between them is too close to call, it is most likely that the Movieverse Optimus' ultra-hot Energon blades are more than capable of cutting through the aligned Prime swords, as his swords have been seen to be snapped in two by Megatron's bare hands, while the Movieverse's Prime sword was only destroyed when he shoved it into Galvatron's chest, potentially meaning that the Movie Prime swords could cut through the aligned Prime's weapons, not to mention his armor. And of course, if push comes to shove, one shot from his barrage cannon could mean the end for his foe. However, when it comes to physical strength, the Cybertron and Power Master Primes put everyone else to shame. Power Master Prime is strong enough to tear through half a Decepticon army by himself, and is able to pound a superpowered Thunderwing to a pulp. The Cybertron Optimus, on the other hand, is able to meet the punches of the ultra-powerful Galvatron, who, by the way, took Metroplex out with just a single finger. As we previously discussed, the Optimus Prime from Generation 1 has enough strength to crack Megatron's armor, even though he managed to survive a planet-sized explosion, though this power is never seen again in the series. This one is really hard to narrow down, but I'd have to call it a tie between the Cybertron and Power Master Primes. Unless you look at strength in battle, and how ferocious Prime can fight and take on his enemies, in which case the Movieverse Prime wins easily. While the Armada, Energon, and Robots in Disguise Optimuses are certainly packing when it comes to firepower, their blasters have been shown to have little impact in the show, damaging or scaring off Decepticons at best, never completely obliterating an opponent like one would assume, considering how much firepower they have. This means we can infer that all 3 of their super modes' firepower would be reasonably ineffective against Transformers from other universes, including their other Optimus Prime opponents. So while providing them with the extra strength and armor, the best their weapons would do is inconvenience and ward off, leaving them open to attack. The Movieverse Prime possesses firearms more suited to a close combat fight, and his previously mentioned barrage cannon would have easily put down or fatally wound anyone too close to him, though Optimus has to use it sparingly. The IDW Prime has been seen with enough firepower to wound Thunderwing, though all he tends to carry on him is his Ion Blaster, and as such without the backup is as lacking as the Generation 1 Prime. The Power Master Prime is certainly packing in the firepower department, but even he pales in comparison to the overwhelming power of the Cybertron's Prime, who, with his super mode, gains not only a power boost, access to his cyber key power attacks, and the power of flight, but also a large increase of weapons, and, unlike his other Unicron trilogy counterparts, has been seen to cause large amounts of damage to his foes. When it comes to firepower, the Cybertron Prime can't be beat. The Generation 1, IDW, Action Master, and Animated Optimus Primes are sorely lacking in the armor and weapons department, and would easily fall victim to the firepower of their other counterparts. The Robots in Disguise and Armada Primes do gain increased armor from their super modes, however have still been seen to be damaged by regular attacks that would hurt them without their super modes. The Energon Optimus gains no armor boost from his super mode, and both the Movieverse and Prime Optimuses, while armored, have been damaged by gunfire in the past. This one falls down once more to Cybertron Optimus and Power Master Optimus Prime, though tips in favour of the latter as the Cybertron Prime can be easily damaged by blaster fire if it is powerful enough, and evidence of this is seen in the show, particularly his final fight with Galvatron. The Power Master Prime on the other hand is able to take shots from the Matrix of Leadership and shake it off like it is nothing, giving clear proof that the Power Master Prime wins this category. When it comes to speed, Optimus Prime is usually lacking, and I guess that comes with transforming into a truck. Though his many incarnations have been seen performing attacks that require immense agility and speed, it is rarely consistent. Both the Armada and Prime Optimus Primes have been seen to be quite agile, dodging and flipping past opponents' attacks, and performing incredible moves when fighting. The Robots in Disguise Optimus has also been seen jumping on top of falling rocks to get atop a cliff, showing immense speed and also a no understanding of how gravity works. However, he loses this speed once he transforms into his super mode. On the flip side, with his super mode, the Cybertron Optimus is capable of flying from Cybertron to one of its moons while carrying Galvatron in a matter of seconds, and throughout the series has performed many powerful attacks that involve him dashing forward at incredible speed. Though nothing spectacular compared to his other incarnations, the Cybertron Prime is definitely the fastest. Power Master Prime seems like an easy winner for this category, considering how much damage he can take, but that's just showing that he has incredibly strong defense. When it comes to endurance, it's all about how much pain Optimus can take. Though the Prime and Armada Optimuses have been seen to be resistant to pain, they have been seen in the past to be rendered inoperable from taking too much damage. The Robots in Disguise, Cybertron, Generation 1, Marvel and IDW Primes too have been damaged to the point of not being able to move, but they took considerably less damage than that of the aforementioned Prime and Armada Optimuses did, and as such, it can be assumed that those two have the highest endurance. However, the Movieverse Optimus Prime has never stopped fighting, and only twice has been rendered deactivated, these being when he was killed by Megatron and the second captured by Lockdown. In other battles across the 4 movies, despite being heavily damaged, he continued to fight with all of his strength. Even when he had his arm torn off, he was still able to best both Sentinel Prime and Megatron in Dark of the Moon. However, the Prime who can endure the most is the IDW Prime, as he has been seen in the past to be damaged by impossibly powerful energy and still managed to keep fighting. And while, yes, he has been rendered inoperable in the past, that was only due to the fact that what caused him to go offline was something as powerful as a space bridge explosion. And even when damaged by energies from the dead universe or space-time itself, Prime has still gotten back up to keep fighting, making him a clear winner for the endurance category. Now, finally, it is time to work out who the strongest Prime is. The Prime of the Generation 1 cartoon, while being strong enough to beat Megatron, has been seen several times in the series to be easily damaged by gunfire, and met his end due to such. When faced with too many opponents, or one strong enough to drain his energy, the Robots in Disguise Optimus Prime is easy to defeat. It doesn't take much to put the animated Optimus down, and though he has bested impossible odds before, his feats pale in comparison to the other Primes, and simply hasn't faced threats as powerful as his other universe counterparts. The Energon Optimus too is easy to defeat, as his Prime Force drones are easy to destroy, and once they are defeated, a few good shots are all that are needed to put him down. The same goes for the Action Master Prime, and this is because he is simply a slightly upgraded version of his original self, and contains no added armor or weapons. Though the Armada Prime trumps the Robots in Disguise Prime without the super mode, the two of them are reasonably evenly matched when they don their armor, and it's almost too close to call when comparing the two. However, the Armada Optimus rarely used his super mode in the show without the aid of another Autobot to power link or spark plug, meaning that on his own, Optimus in the super mode is reasonably weak. While being the strongest of the super modes, the Cybertron Prime tended to rely on his Autobot comrades such as Wingsaber and Leo Breaker to help him power up further, which was the only thing that allowed him to keep up with more powerful opponents later on in the show. He is able to hold his own without them, but he is noticeably weaker when lacking the extra power. The Prime Optimus, while powerful on the battlefield, is simply bested by his movieverse self when it comes to strength and power, and he wouldn't stand much of a chance against the more powerful blast attacks from others. For example, the Blizzard Blast from the Robots in Disguise Optimus could freeze his systems to the point where he couldn't move, just like his trip to the Arctic. So, after all of this analysing, we are left with 4. The Power Master Prime, Movieverse Prime, IDW Prime, and Cybertron Prime. The easiest one to knock out is the Movieverse Prime. He, unlike the other 3 finalists, has not dealt with cosmic energy before. He is ferocious on the battlefield and is able to tear through any foe that gets in his way. But, unfortunately for him, his lack of armor has caused him to be damaged by mere gunfire, and would stand absolutely no chance against the massive blast energies unleashed by Transformers such as the Power Master and Cybertron Primes. It all comes down to what can kill a Transformer, and the Michael Bay movies have had no shortage of showing us what can and can't. According to this poster made as an advertisement for the movies, a Transformer can be killed in multiple ways, but the most important one here is blind spot, and as we have seen, Optimus' blind spot is his back. He may be a violent and powerful warrior, but the movie Prime just doesn't compare when it comes to what the others have undergone. Next to go is the IDW Prime, who, while able to resist incredibly powerful energy attacks, has been seen in the past to be defeated by Megatron. Megatron that wasn't empowered by the dead universe, or had a time drive that increased his power immensely. It was just Megatron, and he managed to almost kill Prime. While the IDW Optimus is powerful on his own and would easily be able to wipe out any of the other Primes on this list, he just doesn't compare to the other 2. So that leaves us with just 2, the Power Master Prime and the Cybertron Prime. One Prime who is seemingly indestructible, and one Prime who can take on ridiculously powerful opponents. Who is the strongest out of the 2 of them? After all this research, after all this waiting, I can finally reveal the answer. Who is the strongest Optimus Prime? The winner is... Creo Optimus, either or. Yes, you heard me. Both are incredibly and ridiculously powerful, able to take on foes that would eliminate anyone else in an instant. The Power Master Prime can withstand attacks of godly energy, and the Cybertron Prime is depicted as being stronger than Vector Prime, a being who exists outside of space and time. Both are true primes, and there aren't many who can stand against them. While both have been damaged and beaten in the past, the 2 have both overcome impossible odds. If they were to clash, a battle between them would be devastating. The Cybertron Optimus is much faster than the Power Master Prime, and has enough firepower to tear apart an entire city. However, it is likely that none of his blast attacks would even damage the Power Master Prime, thanks to his incredibly resistant armor. Strength-wise, the 2 are pretty evenly matched, and their punches would create immense shockwaves if they were to meet. Who would the winner be? Well, it's near impossible to calculate. However, at the very beginning of this video, I said there would be no outside help allowed. And unfortunately, being a Power Master, this Optimus Prime is never alone in his battles. He is accompanied by Haikyuu, his Power Master partner. Without him, the Power Master Prime is a lot weaker, and while it's difficult to tell just how much weaker he is, he would certainly be a lot more limited. In saying that, the Cybertron Prime has been seen to be damaged and beaten a lot more than his Power Master counterpart, so all in all, the winner is interchangeable, depending on how you want to look at it. The strongest Optimus Prime is both the Cybertron and Power Master Primes. Hey guys, if you've made it this far into the video, congratulations! I regret making this so much. However, I have been working for several months on it, and so I hope it was worth all of the effort and research. Once again, a big thank you to Nikto for all the help with the research. Be sure to let me know in the comments what you thought of the video, and be sure to let me know if anything I missed. I know there's got to be an inevitable fatal error I've made in my research. Anyway, thanks guys, and see you all in the next video. I'm never making a video like this again. I have not seen sunlight in weeks. I'm gonna go sleep.